Found at a flea market for a ridiculous $10, this old sewing machine nightstand had hidden potential. Its futuristic design caught my eye, and I already saw in it not just a dusty artifact of the past, but a future masterpiece. Weeks of painstaking work, $30 for materials, and of course, the unwavering support of my beloved husband. That's what it took to turn this humble object into a design find that sold for $500. Let's get to the process of freeing the nightstand from the past. The first thing I do is clean the nightstand from the old paint. A 120 grit sandpaper has become my trusty tool. On flat surfaces, I use a sander with discs of the same fraction, achieving a perfect smoothness. Every part of the cabinet is carefully finished. Where special strength is required, my husband comes to the rescue. The old legs, alas, were hopelessly ruined by bark beetle and rot, so I had to say goodbye to them. The cabinet has veneer on it and I love the interesting texture of it, but there's a problem. It's badly blistered on the top lid. It's no longer salvageable, so I decided to get rid of it. I tried several methods to do this. The first method, I try to peel off the veneer with a construction hair dryer and a scraper. The veneer is blown, a little come off the surface, but the process is long. So I'm trying the second method. I try to remove the veneer with a sander, using 40 and 80 grit sanding discs. But this process also takes a long time. It does not suit me. And finally, I move on to the third method. I decided to wet the veneer. I simply put a heavily wet rag on the veneer, left it on the surface for a few minutes. I remove the wet rag and lift the veneer off with a squeegee. The veneer comes off in slats. The process goes quickly. Great! Look how easily the veneer comes off like magic. After thoroughly sanding and degreasing the surface, I decided to add decorative elements that would emphasize the futuristic nature of the cabinet and make it truly unique. Using liquid nails, I carefully glued each piece of decoration, creating an unusual texture. The next step is to coat the cabinet with primer. It improves the adhesion of paint with the surface and guarantees the durability of the result. The primer improves the adhesion of the paint with the surface of the furniture. In practice, this means that your labor will not be in vain. After painting, the furniture will last a long time. The paint layer will not peel off, will not separate, will not fall off. The paint I chose perfectly emphasized the character of the cabinet. The parts that will not be painted, I cover with painter's tape, so that the paint does not get there. I continue painting the cabinet. In this case, I use a brush for painting because I need a smoother texture of paint. You can paint with a roller, but then you get a lamb texture. I decided not to paint some of the elements, but to keep them in their natural wooden state. I cover them with stain in the shade oak. The way of applying the stain is quite simple. I soak a sponge with stain and apply it to the surface with smacking movements. It is necessary to work with stain with gloves, because it is absorbed into the skin and it is very difficult to wash it off. As you remember, I threw away the old legs of the cabinet. Instead, I bought fantastic looking wooden legs with brass inlay. I stained the new legs. I stained the new shelf, which I made to replace the old one inside the cabinet. The previous shelf had a hole for a sewing machine. I also cover some parts with stain. And one more decoration, which I decided to decorate the sides of the cabinet. The back panel of the cabinet is also covered with stain. I definitely like this shade of oak. I'm going to start restoring the doors. After I remove the old magnetic latches, I need to fix the holes that were formed in their place. I came up with the idea of using wine corks. It looks great. Wine corks were an unexpected but very successful solution. Coating the corks with stain. And so the paint has dried. Now I apply a matte acrylic varnish. At first, the varnish looks like white, but once it dries, it will become colorless. Varnish should be applied over the paint because it strengthens the surface, protects against the negative effects of sunlight and moisture, preserves the pigment of the paint and increases resistance to mechanical damage, abrasion, or accidental scratches. I called my husband for help again. Screw the legs to the cabinet with a screwdriver. Glue the soft treads on the legs. Now it's time for the door handles. I chose brass handles. By design, they fit very well with the decor, which I glued on the lid of the cabinet. You have to agree they look great. For the lid, I chose a dainty button door knob. I decorate the sides of the nightstand with a wooden decorative element made of wood. I glue them on with liquid nails. The cabinet is ready. I am very pleased with the result. A great representative of the retrofuturism style. Thank you for watching to the end. Put likes or dislikes, write comments, subscribe to the channel, and I'm off to buy a new old thing.